Okay, everybody, it is me, Gregory Mannarino. It is Thursday, July 21st, 2022. A lot of things going on here this morning. Economic news I want to cover, markets, European Central Bank, and something else. And this something else is really interesting to me, and I want to hear your take on this. What am I talking about? Well, it has now come to light, it always does, okay, that the major banks are almost desperate right now to raise capital. What am I talking about? Well, they're selling an excessive amount of corporate bonds. This is obviously an attempt to raise capital. So let's put that together. Why do you think that the major banks right now are selling an excessive amount of corporate bonds? In other words, they need to raise capital. Why do you believe, and I will read the comments, that the major banks right now are, well, it seems kind of desperate to raise capital? Does this mean, it may mean, okay, let me put a perspective on this for you. We understand, you and I, that the financial system is, well, it's not real, okay? It's not on the elemental chart. It doesn't exist. It's mostly based on derivatives, which again are an entity among themselves, which really doesn't exist, okay? But that's the way it works. So to me, honestly, understanding that the major banks are now trying to raise capital, and a lot of it, well, that may very well point to the fact that this entire financial system is about to crumble. That says a lot to me. We know it is anyway. Look, we're watching it. We're watching a slow motion train wreck here. Actions of central banks, unprecedented. They're buying it all. Let's talk about that. So the European Central Bank, I'm going to try not to laugh here, but I may actually laugh. The European Central Bank, I'm laughing, for the first time in 11 years, has now raised rates to zero. Yeah, they've raised rates finally from negative to zero, and that's how committed they are to fighting inflation by keeping rates at zero. I don't know about you, but I'm absolutely convinced now that the European Central Bank really wants to fight inflation on the back of their unlimited buying extravaganza, which started this freaking week. You can't make it up. You can't do it. Now let's turn our eyes over to the U.S. economic news that we got. Initial jobless claims came in higher than expected. Well, really? That's because everything is so great. So who would have expected that? And then here, this is the Federal Reserve factory activity gauge says, well, guess what? Factory activity is contracting. Something else is going on here too, and you can expect this to happen. There's been little tidbits of information about it, but it should be obvious to you. The manufacturing sector here in the United States is just done. So you can expect a lot of people to start losing their jobs. But again, we're booming. I want you to think about this. Okay. Apparently, up until President Biden took over the economy, our economy was rip-roaring strong. That was the narrative being sold, and looks like a lot of people bought that. But this was a global phenomenon too. It wasn't just during the Trump era. The whole world was apparently in some type of boom, and everything was fantastic. But let me ask you, if that were really the case, why is it that during the boom time, the Federal Reserve and other central banks were not raising rates at all? You mean they waited, let's put this together. They waited for the economy to take a severe downturn, okay, to now start raising rates? So central banks are raising rates in an economy, global economy, that's in free fall. The only reason why they would do this is to strangle to death, again, as we all know, the big plan here is to eliminate an entire class of people. What better way to do that than to wait for, well, I guess, the economy to take a downturn and then start raising rates into that? Interesting set of dynamics, isn't it? Look, nothing is what it seems to be. I have been telling you this for a very, very long time. If in fact we were in boom time during the Trump administration around the world, the economy was doing great, shouldn't that have been the time when central banks should have been raising rates into a supposed booming economy? Look, the economy wasn't booming back then. It was easy money propping up the markets here. That's all it was. It gave the illusion that things were doing great. Oh yeah, inflation's really low. Oh yeah, this is going on and we're doing great. Rah, rah, rah. No, that's not. It was just stimulus on top of more stimulus on top of easy money. Now, okay, pretty obvious. Things are kind of shitty here. And let me put another perspective on this for you. And you should be well aware of this. Everybody should. The issue of skyrocketing inflation globally, okay, this is not just a phenomenon here in the United States. This started many, many years ago. It really got started during the meltdown of '08 with massive capital injections into the system, with central banks, pumping the economy, pumping the markets full of epic sums of cash. Did anyone really not believe there was going to be, a price to pay for this? There's no free lunches, people. There's never a free lunch. But everyone was happy watching that stock market. Didn't care about nothing else. Look, people, they're just too freaking stupid. They expect that the party's just never going to end. But it's just interesting to me, and I want to hear from you on this point too. You find it interesting that central banks are now raising rates, and the ECB did raise rates to a whole big fat zero. Can't make it up. Zero from negative in an environment where, it's just over. The global economy continues to free fall, and it's not going to stop here. It's just not going to stop, and I think you're all well aware of that. So let's look over at the market right now. Last time I looked, stock futures were relatively flat. All right, crude oil taking a hit right here. This whole issue with Russia and energy and blah, blah, blah. It's all a game that they're playing too. You know that. 10-year yield, 3.04. Well, that's just about 10 basis points from yesterday. Keep your eyes on that 10-year yield, people. We know what's going on here. Central banks getting in here, buying all the debt, trying to manage the debt market here. All they're doing is manifesting a larger issue, and that is, again, the issue with debt, which is the underlying problem to this entire thing. But what are they going to do? They're going to continue to fuel it even bigger, because it's all leading up to a climax, people. You all know that. The biggest boom, and I mean boom as an explosion, in the history of the world is going to occur when that debt market bubble bursts. It's going to change the financial landscape of the entire world. It's being fueled by design. It's going to bring the world to its knees. And another system of maximum control by unified central banks is what's going to be pushed upon the people of the world. They got everyone by the throat right now. That boot on your neck that's being pushed harder and harder. I think a lot of you can feel it right now. Well, you haven't felt anything yet. They're going to cut off your air supply. Okay, they're literally trying to eliminate you. Well, they're trying to push you down to the lower rung of society, so you become a slave to the system, and that's exactly where we are going here. And it's not going to stop until they got everyone in the exact place that they want. Again, does it make sense to you that now we have a global economy in free fall, and now central banks decide that they're going to raise rates into a free fall economy? Shouldn't they have done it before if we were really booming? No, it was all a setup here. They wanted to lull people into a sense of euphoria. And that's what they did. Create some kind of an artificial God for some people to get down on their knees and pray to. And I think a lot of people were doing that in a literal sense. And then kind of pulled out the rug from underneath them and put in a mummy president here in the United States and allow the economy to free fall. All right, understand, the whole Democrat-Republican thing, it's a shit show. The banks run the world. Central banks run the freaking world. All right, look, before I let you go, two things. Number one, why do you believe that Wall Street banks are now desperate to raise capital, okay, by selling a lot of their corporate debt? Number two, the other question is, why do you believe, honestly, that central banks are now raising rates into a free-fall economy? So two questions, and I will read the comments, I promise. I don't think the economic news is any surprise. Factory activity falling off of a cliff. Layoffs are coming with regard to manufacturing jobs. Initial jobless claims coming in higher than expected. No one saw this coming. Oh, no, no, no. But you did, because you follow this blog and you know exactly what's going on. All right, people, look, please share this video blog. Get it out there and answer my two questions. I'm so curious. Look, all of you, way smarter than me. So I promise to read the comments. What do you think is really going on? Love you a lot. See you later.